Something unusual is happening right now. Two changes at the same time. One involves a possible stimulus update. The other involves a Social Security payment increase. And if you're on Social Security or you're watching your finances closely, this moment matters more than most people realize. On the surface, it sounds like just another set of headlines, another week, another update, another promise floating around online. But here's the truth. These two changes are not happening in isolation. They are colliding. And the timing is raising questions inside Washington that aren't being explained clearly to the public. You may have already felt it. Your phone buzzing with alerts, videos popping up with bold claims, people saying checks are coming, others saying nothing is confirmed. It's confusing. And when money is involved, confusion creates anxiety fast. So let's slow this down. Because buried underneath the noise is a real shift taking place. Not a rumor, not a fantasy, a shift in how money support is being discussed and how Social Security payments are being adjusted at the same time. And that combination is what makes this moment different. Right now, conversations are happening about targeted financial relief, not broad payouts like before, more specific, more controlled. At the same time, Social Security payments are moving upward, not dramatically, not in a way that makes headlines explode, but enough that it changes monthly planning for millions of people. Now here's where people get tripped up. They hear stimulus and assume a big check is guaranteed. They hear increase and assume everything is solved. Neither of those assumptions is safe, because what's happening is more technical than that, more political, and more carefully timed. Listen to this part closely. When lawmakers talk about stimulus right now, they're not talking about emergency panic payments. They're talking about economic pressure relief, cost of living stress, rent, food, healthcare. And when Social Security adjustments happen during the same window, it's not coincidence. It's a response to inflation that hasn't fully cooled, a response to seniors and disabled Americans falling further behind each month, and a response to growing pressure from voters who are tired of temporary fixes. But here's the part most people aren't saying out loud. When two money-related changes happen together, the rules matter more than the headlines. Eligibility matters, timing matters, and how these changes interact matters, because one can affect how the other is viewed, and in some cases how it's distributed. Before you get too excited or too worried, you need the full picture. First, the stimulus update. Right now, there is no universal stimulus check approved, no across-the-board payment, no automatic deposit that everyone gets. And that's important to say clearly. What is happening is a renewed discussion around targeted financial relief, not emergency payments like during the pandemic, but narrower support aimed at people still under pressure from rising costs. Lawmakers are looking at specific groups, lower-income households, seniors, disabled Americans, people who rely on fixed incomes while prices remain high. Why now? Because inflation may have slowed on paper, but real life hasn't caught up. Groceries are still expensive. Rent is still high. Medical costs are still climbing. So instead of one big stimulus program, the conversation has shifted towards smaller, more focused relief options. Credits, one-time payments, temporary assistance tied to cost of living stress. Nothing is finalized yet, but the discussions are real and they're active. Now let's move to the second change, the one that is confirmed. Social Security payments are increasing. This increase comes from adjustments already built into the system. Cost of living calculations, updated benefit formulas, annual recalibrations meant to keep payments from falling too far behind inflation. For many people, the increase isn't dramatic. It may feel modest, but when you're budgeting tightly, even a small monthly change matters. And here's where timing becomes important. These Social Security increases are landing at the same moment stimulus conversations are heating up. That's not random. When payments rise, even slightly, it changes how policymakers measure need. It affects eligibility thresholds. It influences who qualifies for additional relief and who doesn't. This is where confusion spreads. Some people assume that a social security increase automatically disqualifies them from any future stimulus-type support. That's not always true. Others assume stimulus payments would stack cleanly on top of increased benefits. That's also not guaranteed. The reality sits in the middle. Any targeted relief program would come with rules, income limits, benefit coordination, phase-outs. That's why understanding the structure matters more than the rumor. Now let's address something else you may be hearing. You might hear that checks are already being prepared, or that deposits are scheduled, or that dates are locked in. As of right now, those claims are premature. What is happening is groundwork, policy shaping, framework discussions. And historically, this stage comes before clarity, not after. Meanwhile, Social Security recipients will see their updated payment amounts reflected based on the current adjustment schedule. This part is steady, predictable, already written into law, so you have one change that is definite and another that is still developing. That combination is what's throwing people off, because when confirmed increases and potential relief are discussed together, it feels like something big is about to happen all at once. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But here's the key point. The government rarely moves fast with money, but it does move deliberately. When officials talk about relief at the same time benefits increase, they're watching public response. They're watching financial stress indicators. They're watching how far those social security increases actually go. And if they fall short, which many believe they do, pressure builds. This is why this moment matters, not because you should expect sudden cash, but because policy direction is being set right now. And the choices made in this window affect how future support looks, who it reaches, and how much flexibility exists. Before we move on, I want to say this clearly. Nothing you've heard so far requires panic. Nothing requires immediate action. But it does require awareness, because the next phase isn't about headlines, it's about impact. Let's talk about what these changes actually look like when they hit your household. If you're on Social Security, your income is predictable. That's both a comfort and a challenge. You know roughly what comes in each month. But when prices rise faster than payments, that predictability starts to feel tight, confining. So when a payment increase arrives, even a modest one, it can change how you breathe financially. Maybe it covers part of a grocery trip. Maybe it offsets a prescription increase. Maybe it simply reduces the gap you've been quietly filling with savings. None of that is dramatic, but it's real. Now layer in the stimulus conversation. Even without confirmed payments, the idea of relief affects planning. People hesitate. They delay decisions. They wonder whether help is coming or whether they should stretch what they have. That uncertainty is stressful. And here's something important that doesn't get talked about enough. When Social Security increases happen, they don't just raise your income. They can shift how other benefits interact with your finances. For some people, higher payments mean crossing certain thresholds. Income limits, assistance cutoffs, benefit calculations. This doesn't mean you lose support overnight, but it does mean the margin gets thinner. That's why policymakers are cautious right now. They know that increasing one stream of income without adjusting others can unintentionally cancel out relief, and that's not the outcome anyone wants. So what does this mean for different people? If you're retired and living mostly on Social Security, the increase helps, but it doesn't erase inflation. It stabilizes things. It doesn't reset them. If you're disabled and receiving benefits, timing matters even more. Payment adjustments affect medical budgeting, care planning, long-term security. And if you're receiving survivor benefits, consistency matters. Any fluctuation feels amplified. This is why stimulus-style relief keeps coming back into the conversation, not as a replacement, but as a buffer, a way to relieve pressure without permanently restructuring the system overnight. Now let's talk about something else you may be worried about: payment timing. Whenever changes happen, people worry about delays, skipped deposits, unexpected gaps. Right now, there's no indication that Social Security payments will be disrupted. Schedules remain intact. Deposits follow the same calendar. That stability matters. The uncertainty lives in the extra, the possible relief, the potential support, and that's where emotions run high. Because when you're managing carefully, even the idea of extra money creates hope. And hope, when mishandled, can turn into disappointment. That's why it's important to stay grounded. Here's the practical reality. These changes are unlikely to suddenly transform your financial situation. They are meant to ease pressure, not eliminate it. But easing pressure still matters. It can slow the drain on savings. It can reduce reliance on credit. It can buy time. And time, for many people, is the most valuable thing. Now, one more thing to consider. When multiple adjustments happen in the same period, the system watches how people respond. Spending patterns, debt usage, financial stability markers. Those responses influence what comes next. That's why this moment isn't just about now, it's about direction. If the current increases fall short of real-world needs, pressure grows for additional support. If relief measures prove effective, they shape future policy. So while it may feel like nothing is changing fast enough, movement is happening, quietly, deliberately. Over the coming weeks, you're going to hear more language like under review, being evaluated, and targeted support. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means decisions are being shaped carefully. If any stimulus-style relief moves forward, it won't arrive suddenly. There will be signals first, committee discussions, official statements, clear eligibility language. Those are the moments that matter, not the rumors, not the countdown videos, not the promises made without sources. For Social Security, the path is steadier. Your increased payments follow the schedule already in place. No surprise interruptions, no last-minute changes. That stability is intentional. It gives people something reliable while other support options are debated. And here's something I want you to remember. You are not behind because you don't know everything yet. You're not missing out because you're waiting for confirmation. This system moves in steps, and you're seeing the early ones. Right now, the most important thing is awareness. Understanding the difference between what's confirmed and what's still forming. That alone puts you ahead of most of the noise. As more information becomes official, it will be clearer. Dates will be named, amounts will be defined, rules will be published. Until then, calm planning beats reactive decisions every time. If you've been feeling tired of financial uncertainty, that feeling makes sense. Many people are carrying it quietly. But moments like this aren't about panic. They're about positioning yourself with information instead of fear. And that's why staying informed matters. If this explanation helped you understand what's really happening, take a moment to subscribe. Not for hype, but for steady updates that respect your time and your peace of mind. Stay informed, stay grounded, and remember, clarity always arrives before change.